right, starting chapter 19, and I'm only one chapter ahead of this, so really I don't have a clue what's coming up, but man, there's been some cool stuff happening so far. And in this chapter, we have at the start Silver Fox and Kruppa, and they are looking over this field and these hills, and then she is going to kind of enact this summoning of, this second gathering. And as she's looking out, she goes about 5 paces ahead at least, and then there's this uncanny silent conjuration, as if the dust has found its shape. And where there were hills once, from all over, these vast plains and hills on all sides, rise these tens of thousands of Talan Imass. Isn't that so awesome? Just from the dust on the hill. And Silver Fox turns to face the Talan Imass, and one steps forward. This Pran Chol, whose heart breaks. Kruppa's heart breaks at the sight of him. He knows this person, or this whoever, and he is kind of considered her dad in a way, in a way that I can't quite understand. And she is ticked at him because she has felt abandoned. And she Pran Chol, this guy from the prologue, has been invested in this war and kind of gave up everything to do so. And she's ticked. She's ticked because she hasn't had this father figure. Another Talan Imass steps forward, Okrol Lam, and says, I don't care what this is that you are feeling for him, but this is not why we are here, and it's misguided. If anyone, if anyone's your dad, it's actually not this guy. It's someone else who we will find in this chapter. If you're going to talk about anyone being more of a father to you, it would be Tool, who is way in the south on his way north with this thing that his secret desire that he has that we don't know, and that he's not going to tell. He's not going to tell Silver Fox that either. It's interesting, this one point here. Your souls were forged in the Warren of Talan. The unveiled summoner, the unveiled Warren of which I speak, belonged to the first sword, Onos Tulan, the clanless. He now walks alone, and that solitude has twisted his power of Talan. I don't exactly understand completely what that means, other than something to do with, they consider him being off on his own kind of to be a bit of a crime or something he shouldn't done. And when he did that, his isolation that he brought upon himself, or perhaps what his sister did, I don't know exactly that link necessarily. I have my ideas, but it influenced what happened. And she was born, and kind of, even though she was the seed was kind of planted long ago, it took all this time, as far as I can understand it. It's really tricky stuff still. Even though I have a grasp on a lot of it, I really don't in a lot of ways too. There's another that comes forward, says he's the last of this one clan of the Talan Imass, and we get the idea that there are some that have gone rogue. They've gone renegade. And a lot of them are on this continent of Jakaruku, which of course there's another continent. They are there, and I think most of them are either killed or enslaved and fighting this war over there. And it's not going well. It's not going well. We get this thing with Kellenved, the Emperor of Malaz, or former emperor, who occupied the first throne of the Talani Mass, which is interesting. But there's this thing, even though it's unoccupied, he occupied it for a time. But since he didn't die, he didn't really give it up, even though now he's on the throne of Shadow. So had he died in truth, the first throne would be unoccupied once more. He had not died, so it is not unoccupied, and we are at an impasse. And I believe what he was trying to do was to kind of hook these guys up with what their real goal is. They are all tied into this war of looking for, or this constant cycle of hunting the Jagged. They know that there's one in the heart of the Panian Domain, so that at least they have that target, and the summoner, Silver Fox, has that target. They feel like this is just going to go on and on and on and on. And even if, and this is what Kruppa looks at the Talani Mass, and his heart goes out to them. And his heart goes out to the Talani. And they've just been stuck. So Silver Fox asks Pran if there are any Jagged around. He says there's one that we know of that is in the south, which is kind of vague because it doesn't say that there aren't more. So, there's certainly more than just the one. We know of Raced, but he's in this other place. They think he was dead, but yeah, he's in this locked in the Azure, or the Zath house. I keep calling the Azure house. And we get this bombshell that what the Talani Mass really want more than anything is just to be freed from that oath, I guess you could call it, to hunt the Jagged. And she holds the keys to that as the summoner and the first mortal child, I guess, born in all this time. She holds the keys to that. And even Kruppa wants that to happen. After finding the Jagged in the Panian Domain, they're just asking to be let go. Even if there's another one that rises, there will be others to rise up and fight it, but they've done their time. And that's when all of them, there's this rustling and creaking in the air, and tens of thousands of Talani Mass lowering themselves to their knees, heads bowed. Summoner, we beg you to release us. And then she says, no. No. There's a voice there. Then the undead wolves began to howl. Theirs is a voice of such unearthly sorrow. It tears at the mortal mind. Oh, Krull, what are we to do now? I don't understand why this... it is sad. I don't understand why Kruppa... Is he really just looking out to him? Is he expecting that they need the Talani mask to be released. There's just some of this that I'm not totally understanding, but yeah, a lot going on. Then we get to this scene, and it is the scene where Whiskey Jack and them are getting they're going to battle with the swarming Teniscowry, and in front of them is this lone rider, Anaster. There are these screaming, sirenous kind of women of the dead seed, which are the true bodyguard of Anaster, and they're charging with waves of power from the women of the dead seed. That is just assailing not only everyone else, but it's assailing Whiskey Jack. He can kind of sense this awful, awful presence of whatever they are unleashing. That's not just, it's a presence that infects the mind and puts his heart into a strange kind of panic. And Corlat, thank goodness for Corlat, but she is there for Whiskey Jack when he's trying to be there for everyone else. She's there for Whiskey Jack, telling him to resist the fear. And now, this is very cool. There's this shadow over top, and then she recognizes that Animander Rake has come in his full power. He's doing this big dragon thing, and he's there to just scare the crap out of everyone. That's his real purpose, is to scatter everyone and to take out these witches, because they are at the core of this all. And this, you know, they are the ones that seem to be, they're the matriarchs or the matrons. They seem to be at the core of all this, a lot of this, this awful corruption. He comes down and his jaws open, and Anaster kind of just opens his arms and accepts the jaws of Animander Rake. He snaps down on him, rises up in the air, and Corlat recognizes that this man, that Animander Rake, is a poison in himself, and it's starting to have an effect on Animander Rake, and he just whips him out of his jaws. Very, very cool. And as he comes down and just opens his jaws, and it's this pure warren of shadow, curled Ghislaine, just spread out over everyone. Whiskey Jack makes a note, I think it was Whiskey Jack, makes a note that that's another way into the warren of shadow if they need one, right into the jaws. And this worked. The Teniscowry are running like crazy. And all that's left is these huddled ladies. And he spends no time kind of waiting. He takes out Dragnapur and is going to send them all off while they're recovering. He swings the first as at the 10 witches, swings it at the first, Whiskey Jack looking on in horror. I loved this scene. Her head drops and he's on to the next one. No, this is not right, Whiskey Jack says, and he spurs his horse forward. Another one slain, and then to the third, and finally he gets there and says, "Stop this." And I love this line that Animander Rake says, because I didn't understand it until later in the chapter, or later in the scene. "To one side, my friend. What I do is a mercy." Remember what Itkovian is holding on himself. What he does, the burden he carries. Now we can think of the burden that Animander Rake is carrying and has carried. Whiskey Jack doesn't quite understand this, though. No, it is a judgment, a sentence, what you are doing. I claim the right. I claim the right to judge. Oh, no. Yeah, Animander Rake says, I claim the right to judge judgment of these creatures. And Whiskey Jack doesn't, it's about the sentence. He doesn't think that they should be slain with this Dragnipur. It's too much. Well, then, you must do it, he says to Whiskey Jack with his sword. Obviously, it'll be a little different. And so Whiskey Jack, he's no executioner, but he is going to go and have this thing that's going to change him. And he goes from woman to woman, and in the quickest way he can, in the most efficient, trying to kind of minimize the pain and things, executes all these women, these witches, I guess. And everyone is just watching stunned. Even Dujek One Arm, and they are watching as this guy that everyone loves, Whiskey Jack, is doing this. And their heart, not only are they stunned, but it seems like their heart is going out for their loved sergeant, who everyone is loyal to. And he is recognizing that it's having a change in him, but everyone's also, their heart goes out to him. And also Anamander Rake, this mercy he spoke about, is more as if he's saying, I am doing this so you don't have to, friend. Let me carry this burden. Don't do this on your own. But I do love, at the same time, there's a part of Whiskey Jack as well that he is doing this as a mercy as well, in a sense, carrying the burden, a little part of the burden from Anamander Rake. And even though Anamander Rake has all of this on him that he has done for how many hundreds of thousands of years, Whiskey Jack, with this one moment, is really breaking him way down. And they've caught, he gets word that they have caught Anaster, and will go to give him judgment. Man, my heart goes out to Whiskey Jack. And he recognizes that he was speaking not just of a mercy, not to the women of the dead seed, but to him. Thus your sorrowed smile when I denied you. Yeah, Whiskey Jack was going to do it, and Anamander Rake was kind of, his sorrowed smile went down when he was doing that for them. It wasn't just this cold murder, even though it was pretty cold. And we get to this moment. Whiskey Jack, and he doesn't really want to be a part of it all that much, but he examines Anaster, this disarmed, bruised, pitiful, weak, small youth, or small person who has this youth face. It seems like one of his eyes was gouged out, the remaining eye fixed on Whiskey Jack, lifeless, cold, indifferent. And what this boy wants, I can't get everything about it. There's a lot in this scene, a really great scene. He wants to just be killed. Because what he fears is Itkovian. And Itkovian's special hugs. Which is so interesting because it sounds like that is a release and a mercy. I don't think I'm reading that wrong, but it sounds like the people that are in that darkest moment, and it has this mercy available to them, even then they just are rejecting it when it is right there available to them. And they're even going to take this guy. Oh, man, wouldn't it be cool if this guy turns into something and doesn't just fizzle out into the series? I sure hope not. What a wild introduction to a character that would be. But he is just in a state of terror. And Dujek confronts Whiskey Jack, not in a way of really coming down on him, but saying that was bad. What the heck was going on there? And Whiskey Jack feels like he's lost something of himself, and no one will be able to see him the same way. He's emotionally destroyed. Asks for Dujek to strip him from rank, which he won't. Corlat later, in speaking with Whiskey Jack, or is she speaking with Whiskey Jack? It doesn't matter. She sees something, or perceived something, in Anastar, a strange young man. There was much hidden within the darkness of his soul. Oh, he's speaking with the High Fist. He could not bear leading his army, could not bear to see the starvation, the loss, the desperation, and so was resolved to send it to its death, to absolute annihilation, as an act of mercy, no less, to relieve their suffering. For himself, he committed crimes that only could be answered with death. But not a simple death. He seeks something more. He seeks damnation as his sentence, an eternity of damnation. I cannot fathom such self-loathing. So this guy, he just has so much guilt and torment for it. And the same thing that is in him, Whiskey Jack has caught a little slice of that. Feels so guilty for himself. So isn't that amazing? That's how it just kind of spreads within a person's heart. And then she says, "My love," talking to Whiskey Jack, "these women, they were not defenseless. The power they drew on came from the Warren of Chaos itself." That was this sorcery, this power that they were casting off that infected Whiskey Jack as he perceived them coming towards him. They were recovering. They would have unleashed, what they would have unleashed would have been devastating. And Whiskey Jack recognizes that in some regard, we are all servants of Hood, one and all who take life. And he just can't stand the idea of facing his men again. And I love this about Corlat. Do not dare underestimate them. I have come to know many of your soldiers, Whiskey Jack. They are not fools. Do you not think that they each in his or own way have faced the choice you faced this morning? Whiskey Jack, they witnessed. They saw in fullest knowing. They hurt for you. With every brutal blow, they felt the old wounds within them resonating in sympathy. Commander, your shame is an insult. Discard it, or you will deliver unto your soldiers the deepest wound of all, this despair. The distance between you and them has already been closed, Whiskey Jack. He says there's this distance between us that I can't close. It's already closed, she's saying. Your army will follow you into the abyss, should you command. Remember when Perrin was just out in the field. He had people around him. He had people around him trying to help out, but he felt alone. And and the Maiba feels alone, has all these people around her, still feels alone. Whiskey Jack is getting that. You know, they do follow Dujek, but they love They love Whiskey Jack. Man, that's powerful. We get to the scene with Murillo and Call, and they want to help out. Another group that wants to help out the Maiba. They figure they're going to kind of, they're all on their way to Kapistan, and they want to be the first there with the Maiba, who it seems like everyone else has kind of forgotten about her, but they are not going to forget about her. And they want to bring her to a priest in Kapistan. And even if it would take a ton of gold, someone must be there to help out. Even if it causes this massive exchange or something, whatever they can do to help out this Maiba will be worth it. It's just coin, isn't it? No matter the amount, a fair exchange to ease an old woman's suffering. Even if she never awakes and thus knows nothing of what we did. And wow, there is this very, very last scene, which I had to read it a couple times and I'm still not totally sure. But we have this, we're back in the dream of the Maiba, as far as I can tell. And she is running away from these wolves, and sees this kind of cave that doesn't really kind of match. And she goes towards it, and someone calls out, a man's voice, who I assume is Talk the Younger. A man who is basically going crazy and thinks that he is talking to the seer or someone there to taunt her. Doesn't recognize that it is the Maiba, which is interesting because she must be, I don't understand where she is. And if she is here, where it's confusing, but compelling. It's enough to hold on to, but man, I want some answers. And he it's just this, anyway, I'm not going to go into all that. Maybe I'll read some of this. The man says, and she doesn't think, or he doesn't think this is who she says it is. The seer has made me this prison. You are the lure of madness of strangers' voices in my head. I defy you. But the rape of my mind was ever incomplete. There is a God here, seer, crouched before my secrets, fangs bared. Not even your dear mother, who holds me so tight, dares challenge him. Right, the matron. As for your Omtos Falak, he would have confronted you at the Warren's Gate long ago. He would have denied it to you, Jagged. Don't know who that's talking about. I am helping him to find himself. He's growing aware. Oh, Treach, right? So he's a part of this growing awareness. Sounds like the Maiva is also doing this by kind of bringing them closer together. And here, let me make sure I have this right. Yes, this is her adopted son, is this Jagged seer. Is this one of those kids from the start? Am I getting that wrong? I guess we'll find out. And there's this amazing part. A faint howl rang through the air from a distance. And he says, hear that? That is my mate. She's coming. I looked for so long. A long time. Even since before the Elder Gods. They've been apart. And it's like this Maiba. By them chasing her, they catch each other's scent. And they're going to be brought back together after all this time. And now I answer. His whole tore through her. The Maiba screamed. Her wolves answered triumphantly. They're found again. a hand touched her cheek. Gods, that was blood curdling. She must have been going crazy. Another man spoke. There is more to this than we comprehend, Murillo. Look at her cheek. She's clawed herself, one of them says. She can't lift her arms, friend. And look, the nails are clean. She didn't inflict the wound on herself. Then who did? Those nightmares, could they be real? Whatever pursues her in her dreams, are they able to physically damage her? Call, this cannot go on. Agreed, Murillo. First chance in Capistan. Yeah, so these are more than just the dreams. And I don't understand especially who is sending them. If this is Silver Fox sending these wolves to kind of chase her in the right area, or if she's just she was needed as this link all along. There's just so many moving parts, but I'm excited to see Talk hopefully be freed by Baljag and them and Tool and da-da-da-da, and what happens when these two wolves are back together. And we have one more chapter to go, and I will be all caught up on these videos, and I can go forward doing the rest of the book. And I'm going to try to do a chapter just immediately after I've read it for the last chapters. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll see you on the next one.